Hello, this is Dr. Jeff with Ed Family. Perhaps you saw my last video where I had a chance to look at my score report for National Board, the maintenance of certificate, and I was pretty happy. This time I'm going to go ahead and click on the score report for 2021 to see if my maintenance of certificate was met. So here we go. Clicking on the link. Whoa, some fireworks are there. Congratulations, maintained NBCT. We celebrate your accomplishments. So what goes into a maintenance of certificate for National Board? So there's some folks I know out there working on their National Board certification, and there's others who have completed National Board certification. They've received it, and it's closing in. Maybe it's 1 year afterwards, 2, 3, 4, or you're getting close to that 5th year where you need to renew your certification. Well, today I'm going to have a chance to share a little bit about that process. So first of all, maintenance of certification is not completely recertifying. It's not recertifying. You're simply creating a situation where you can keep your certification active, and it measures how you, as a National Board certified teacher, have continued to grow. And they're kind of wanting to see that now that you're nationally board certified, that you've continually grown, you've had professional experiences, you're growing, you're reflecting about your personal experiences, you're continuing to have an impact on student learning. So let me give you a quick difference between the initial certification and the maintenance of certification, because they're two different processes really. So in the initial certification, there's 4 components, and there's a lot to those different pieces. The fees are higher, over $2,000, and it probably took you at least 150 hours, if not 200 plus hours, to complete that initial certification. It was a lot. Compared to the maintenance of certification, which is only 2 components, and it's not exactly the same as the previous initial certification. There's no specific numeric rubric score. It's just, did you maintain it or not maintain it? Right? So did you maintain or not maintain? So the pass rate is much higher than it is for the initial certification, which is a lot more stringent. And the cost is also less. And then National Board estimates that this whole entire process will take about 50 hours compared to the 200 hours of the initial certification. That just kind of gives you an overarching idea of the scope of the maintaining your certification. And so whether you're you just got your certification and you're a couple of years in, I recommend maybe starting to document the journey, document your story, document your professional growth, because that will make it so much easier for you when you reapply. So there's 2 components, as I mentioned, component 1 and component 2. And in component 1, they're focusing in on 2 PGEs. PGE stands for Professional Growth Experiences. Professional Growth Experiences. It's about 4 pages of written commentary per PGE. So it's like 4 pages, so 8 pages total. And like the original National Board, it's not like trying to keep it or get to the 8-page mark or whatever page limit there is. It's trying to constrain it. Like, how can you be as concise as you can with your words, because there's going to be more that you want to talk about, but how do you keep it to that 8 pages? And then they, of course, have a template to follow. And then there's additional work that you provide, 2 pages of samples of products. They call it SOPs, per PGE, Professional Growth Experiences. So for each PGE, Professional Growth Experience, you need to show evidence of that, like samples of products, right? 2 pages each. So a total of 12 pages total. So once again, what is a PGE? A PGE is an activity in which you learn something new that has influenced within or beyond the classroom and have a direct or indirect impact on student learning. So that's so many different kinds of things, but let me go ahead and read you some examples. It could be you obtained a grant and implemented a special project for your school, or you organized a family community activity supporting students, creating more equitable environment or provided mentoring, coaching to new teachers on an ongoing basis. I know for me, I'm an induction support provider for two folks. At the time I was doing this, and I still continue to serve as an induction support provider, and I was doing that even before actually, and that was actually my professional growth experience that I wanted to reflect on. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Perform a needs analysis for instructional resources and developed a plan based on results, conducted research that led to changes in your or others' instructional practice, collaborated with colleagues, community members, and or families to meet the needs of students, created a website that is actively used by students and families to facilitate regular communication between school and home. So what goes into each PGE, once again, is that 4-page written commentary. And so in the beginning, once again, like we did for National Board, there's that providing the context of that professional situation where you talk about your community, right, the needs of your students. And fortunately, in the district that I work in, we get to talk about, that's already a part of our practice, knowing students by name, need, assets, strengths. So that is a part of it. Demonstrating the identified need, whatever it is that the need was. Then explain how you have acquired or deepened your certificate area specific content knowledge and or pedagogical knowledge and skills to remain current for that particular PGE. And then reflect on each PGE presented, next steps, and so forth. And I really like this part because sometimes we just continue to just work, and we don't have a chance to reflect. Or if we reflect, we just think about what we had done. But I think an important piece of that is actually thinking about the next step. So I'm glad that the National Board gave an opportunity for me to do this for the two PGEs that I chose. And so now I'm going to go ahead and talk about the two PGEs that I chose. And this could totally be different than the two PGEs that you chose. I'm just giving my two as an example. So the first PGE is, once again, with the induction candidates. And I think my takeaway summarized in 3 sentences, if I were to give you 3 sentences, are these 3 questions. What do you want to work on? I think that's a critical question when working with other educators. What is it that you want to work on? And letting the educator choose and identify and support them in identifying their area of growth. Next question to ask is, how will we get there? And then once again, it's not me prescribing or telling them. And once again, I'm just partners with other educators. Definitely not someone who's mandating you must do this. What is it that you think we need to do to get there? And kind of having those reflective questions and dialogue to support them along that journey. And, being their cheerleader and also providing that accountability as well. And then lastly, after they have a chance to complete that lesson or whatever task it is that they did, how well did it work, or how might you do it differently next time? In the second PGE, I talked about my role as a civic leader and as a lead teacher and my work in helping to create a keystone project at a school that I was working at, which really exemplified the 5 C's: communication, collaboration, creativity, critical thinking, and compassion. And so basically, the work would begin it was a cross-curricular project, soapbox speeches, beginning in history, social science, where we helped students to identify an area that they cared about and then help them to create a soapbox speech. And then the baton was passed on to English, where English would continue to strengthen these soapbox speeches, and then the baton would be passed once again to the science department, where there would be a special presentation and competition, which we called the Collide, right? Collide. So that was PGE number 2, that cross-curricular assignment that we made that had a showcase at the very end. Just talking about that and reflecting about that was my PGE number 2. So that's all part of component number 1. So then then there's 2 components to this. That's PGE 1, PGE 2. That's component 1. Then there's component 2. Now component 2 kind of reminds me of module 3. You know how there was that commentary? There was that commentary in the video and then the commentary. It seemed very reminiscent of that to me. So it's basically 5 pages of written commentary along with the 10-minute video clip that could be divided up into 3 different parts. And so for myself, my video actually was a video of one of my students giving a soapbox speech, not the actual speech itself, but right afterwards, I had a small group of students in the inner circle providing feedback to that person that just gave the soapbox speech. It was the critical friends protocol. They would talk about what they like, one suggestion, and so forth. So it was the critical friends protocol that was recorded and kind of which I reflected on for that particular component. And that was also the piece that I recorded for component number 2. So there's component number 1, which was the 2 PGEs, and then there's component number 2, which is the video and 5-page reflection, which was a lot like module 3. Now in component 2, they're asking questions once again, asking questions like, how has your learning or professional growth as described in the PGE been applied in this lesson? So I actually used a part of PGE, one of my PGEs, the civic lead component, or the cross-curricular lesson that I had created in component 1 for the component 2 video. You see how it's kind of connecting? So the work in component 1 did connect to the work in component 2. Question 2, for the featured lesson, what were your goals? How did it fit into the broader context of learning for these students? Unfortunately, I'm the type of person that likes to, when I design units and modules, have everything written out in the instructions. So once again, a lot of that material is already there, ready to go. 3, why is this instruction important for for these students at this particular point in time? And so I talked about how history was beginning the soapbox speech, and then we're passing the baton to English and so forth. And we talked about why we were doing the lesson then. How did you ensure fairness and equity of access and promote appreciation of diversity among students? So once again, including that verbiage into the description is so important, like giving everyone the opportunity to add their voice, everyone the opportunity to choose a topic that they're passionate about, many students giving feedback to one another, many students reflecting on the feedback that they've received, right? 5, how does this video recording reflect your certificate-specific content knowledge? 6, explain the impact of your teaching on student learning. Cite specific examples from the video recording and identify what they illustrate. And so like module 3 in National Board, you're citing, and at the 5-minute, 30-second mark, this happened. At the 6-minute, 23-second mark, this happened. Or you're just citing different specific sources because they're looking for that specific evidence, right, from the video. 7, reflecting on the activity presented in the video, discuss any changes and or enhance student learnings. Reflecting on the activity, this is the last question, reflecting on the activity presented in the video, discussing changes, additions, and or next steps that would enhance your professional growth in the future. So both components, very reflective, very useful, and definitely wishing you the best as you maintain your certification as well. If you have any questions about maintaining your certification that you'd like me to go more specific on, please do add that in the comments if this video was helpful for you. Please be sure to like and subscribe once again to our Ed Family channel, where we really focus on students, thinking about what it is that they're good at and then helping them to do good with it. This is Dr. Jeff from Ed Family signing out.